Good Tuesday, everybody, and welcome once again to another edition of Pins on Campus. I am Mark Jeffries, along with Jonathan Byer. I got it right.
You did.
All right. We're buying and selling tonight, baby.
We're doing something today. Trying to stay warm today is what we're doing.
Anyway, we are going to talk college, bowling, and anything else that we want to talk about. And it has been miserable from a weather standpoint here in Oklahoma. You guys have dealt with ice and a little bit of snow. Dude, I've got a snow pile out in my driveway at my house, probably 6 feet high.
That's impressive for Oklahoma standards.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah.
I had a buddy of mine had a Bobcat, came in, cleaned my driveway. My driveway is kind of on an incline to get into the garage, so there was no way that stuff was going to melt and refreeze and melt and refreeze, and I would be stuck and not able to get my vehicle, and more importantly, the wife's vehicle, into the garage. So they came out and they snow plowed, or what, bobcatted, scooped up, whatever you want to call it, all the snow. I never thought that would take place in Oklahoma, but it did this week. And because of the weather, man, some tournaments across the Midwest canceled, postponed, rescheduled, all kinds of stuff going on out there, and really a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, not a lot of movement's going to happen in the standings this week because of the tournaments that were canceled. Some were rescheduled, so they'll eventually hit the docket. But there were some that were just all out canceled, like for not on our side, but on the NCAA side, the Prairie View A&M Invitational, which is one of the larger NCAA women's tournaments that happens here at the ITRC every year. They had to cancel it because of the weather. And you thought, you think about it, there's teams that come from Nebraska all over, right? It wasn't going to work very well for them. And it said they can't reschedule it. It didn't fit within the calendar. So it's not going to happen until next year. So,
yeah. Well, you and I are going to gab for a little bit here, and then we're going to have our special guest on right around the top of the hour. Kris Prather is going to be joining us, and we're going to pick his brain about all kinds of stuff. Team USA, the tour, his experience in college at Wichita State, and get his take on a lot of stuff that's taking place past, present, and future. Now, whether or not he gives up any juice, that remains to be seen, but we'll see what he has to say.
Hey, somebody that kind of insight, you're gonna poke him a little bit, right? You got to see what they got up there.
Well, I believe he's on the Players Tournament Committee or whatever they're calling it now. I don't know what they're calling it now. Do you know what they're calling it?
Couldn't tell you.
I think it's the Players Tournament Committee, but it could be wrong. Who knows?
The Players Association?
No, it's the PBA members that are out on tour, that they have representation, that they meet and they talk about stuff that takes place and what they would like to see in the future. And who knows if any of that happens. So maybe Kris will give up a little bit of juice on that and give us some insight. I'm not sure. I know with the friendship that I have with Steve Wunderlich, there's a name from the past. Steve was actually very, very active in the 70s and 80s in the PBA Tour group that represented the players. And a lot of people, if you go back and you look at the history of it, there was a lot of stuff going on in the PBA Tour in the 70s and 80s and really early 90s that was really behind the scenes, because everything was set up primarily for that Saturday show. I mean, I remember when I was a youth bowler in Cow Bowl in Lakewood, California, we would finish league and then all of us would hang out and watch the tour stop that week. That was like a big deal. And think about the crowds that were at those events, Jonathan. You can go back and you can watch some of them on YouTube and stuff. Jam-packed. And you know what? There were no fans sitting on bleachers down the lanes.
That's true.
I'm not a fan of that. Do you like that?
I really don't have an opinion either way. I mean, I think it's a harder viewing angle than you think. If you've ever been to a TV show, for example, that one year that my college teammate CJ Petrin made the singles show for collegiate, we all sat kind of on that side section, kind of up top. Yeah. It's a really good view of the approach, but when the ball gets under the masking unit, you can't see it anymore. So depending on where you're sitting, you have no idea what happens when the ball hits the pins, which is kind of weird. But it's just kind of weird optics. I'd much rather watch it from a stadium seating behind than down the lane.
Don't like it.
No.
And I'm granted, I've never been in that position, but just from a player who is trying to perform at the highest level, why do you need that distraction? Now, granted, I know some people like Packy, they want crowd noise, they want all that stuff going on. Okay, I get it. But I think it takes away from just the aesthetics and the atmosphere of what's taking place on that pair of lanes.
Are you ready for my opinion?
Go right ahead.
I don't want it to be quiet. I think that silence, that PGA Tour golf style mindset is not fun to watch, not fun to be a part of. I'd much rather have more of that live golf atmosphere. I mean, I would even say, because I've gotten on a binge of watching 90s, 80s bowling telecasts. I don't know why. We've been cooped up inside maybe, so why not? Yeah. And they used to have some crowds that, I mean, it was never silent. There was cheering the whole time. Now, nobody was doing anything outrageous, not like, fans you'd find at like a World Cup game or MLS game, making all those noise with all those noisemakers or something. None of that, but the cheering is going on the whole time. I think that's a much truer sports environment. I mean, there are 4 basketball games happening on the TV right here and 4 different college campuses across the country. There's always some noise going on in there, right? They're not asking to be dead silent for those basketball players to go about their business. I don't think bowling needs to be that way.
I get it. Look what happens when players are shooting free throws.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not the home team. They're going nuts.
Right.
So I get it. All right. I see this point, but at the same time, I'm somewhat of a purist, if that's a definition.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree that environment probably suitable for the big ones, the U.S. Open, the Masters telecast, maybe things like that.
Yeah.
But like the things, let's just say the Detroit Open or all the other tournaments that happen that don't really mean as much.
That's not true. That's not true, man. Careers are on the line every event now when you only have 10 television shows.
No, that's true. I just think it'd be a much better environment if it was more fun.
All right, here, I'm going to throw something out at you. Since we're talking about crowds and tournaments and all that, has nothing to do with college bowling, but I want to see if you being the youngster, if you either heard about it or saw some of the highlights or actually the entire show on YouTube. You tell me, what do you think the greatest bowling event that ever happened in the state of Texas? What would that be?
Oh, is it going to be in my lifetime? That should be the question.
I don't even know what year it took place. Here, I can look it up real quick. I can't remember what year it happened. I should pull up ChatGPT because it would know it better than anybody else.
Yeah, use AI to your advantage. I mean, there's been some great bowling moments in my lifetime, but I would say none of them are super extravagant. I know there's a lot of bowling history that existed before my lifetime here in Texas.
Yes, 2011.
2011. That's right when I started bowling. You know what? I do not know.
Let's see if there's a picture of it that I can pull up. They do not have it. There's no way that took place in 2011. All right, that's got to be wrong.
Yeah, you can't believe everything you find on the internet. So.
No, that's definitely here. Let me look at something real quick. I will tell you this: it took place in the metro, in the DFW metro area.
I should know that.
You should. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. Man, I can't remember what it was called. I know this, once again, folks, this is how we go off the cuff here on this show.
We make Mark do research mid-show.
No, I should know this. Let's see if ChatGPT. No, that's not right.
Did you say no to 2011 because you think it was much sooner than that, or
no? It was before
a lot earlier than that?
And all right, there's somebody out there watching, but they may not know it. All right, the one thing about ChatGPT, if you don't give them the right info, it's not going to come up with the right answer.
That's true.
All right, hang on. One more try. Oh, good grief.
This is Mark in full research mode right here.
Oh, yeah.
He's finding the information.
All right, let's see if ChatGPT can help me out on this. Yeah, it was 2011, dude.
Really?
Yeah. When were you born?
2000.
So you were 11 years old. Here, I'll give you a hint. It was Arlington, Texas. You never heard about this. Let me see if they can pull up. ChatGPT came up with it. Let's see. Do you have pictures? Oh man, it gave me no pictures. That's all right. Okay. Yes. Here. Let's see if it comes up with anything. No, it's got no pictures. I know there's pictures out there, but ChatGPT is not finding that. Anyway, so any idea? I probably carried this way too far.
I have a guess.
June 30th, 2011.
Okay, I know.
What was it?
The Women's U.S. Open was held at AT&T Stadium.
Well, it wasn't AT&T Stadium back then because it was in what? It was where the Cowboys used to play.
Texas Stadium?
What was that in Irving, Texas?
Yeah, that was Texas Stadium, I believe.
That's where it was.
Okay. I thought AT&T Stadium was already up by then.
Was it?
Yeah.
It says it Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, Texas.
Oh, maybe it wasn't named yet. But I want to say the new stadium was up by then. But you're asking a non-Cowboys fan.
Anyway, I mean, can you imagine having a collegiate event in a stadium? How about even in, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some famous arenas.
Well, I mean, I thought it was. I mean, we didn't go this year because the timing didn't work out well with what I had on my schedule. But when we were up at Green Bay for Junior Gold, they had that women's show as part of the opening ceremony, and when everybody was in that one arena, that was pretty cool because we actually got a chance to watch it from the hotel room on TV, and it looked like a really, really cool environment. And I know a lot of the ladies commented on it in the interviews pre and post show about that environment. So I thought that was pretty cool. Hey, they've had a show on the Las Vegas Strip. They've done an outside telecast before.
They've done outside stuff, I think, in New York before. The PBA has. That was back when they had the golden pins.
Mm.
Okay, but it says that there were over 6,000 people in attendance for that U.S. Open. And I could have swore it was I thought it was in Irving. I thought it was in the old Texas Stadium.
You're asking you're holding 6,000 people in a stadium that holds 100,000. Might seem a little cavernous.
They put a curtain up or something. I don't know.
I mean, it's like, I guess it'd be like a concert. There's part of the seating that you're not gonna be able to see anything anyway. So maybe everybody was condensed down to one specific area, but yeah. I would still think it would be very cavernous in that environment. I think like a more of a basketball type arena, that holds 20,000 to 30,000 would be pretty cool. I'd be all in on that.
It says Cowboy Stadium. Let me see.
Yeah, that had to be the new stadium. I want to say it was up by then. I'm sure the telecast is on YouTube.
I'm sure it is. Let's see here. I'm pulling it up right now to see if I can get a shot of it. And I can't. Oh, wait a minute. Rangers Ballpark in Arlington.
Yeah, I found it.
Which one was it?
This is a new stadium.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how cool is that? That's pretty cool. That might be the coolest event to take place in bowling. That or where was it where Bob Learn won in his hometown in the arena? And I don't remember what town that was.
So the setup they had was like a pair of lanes over here and a pair of lanes over here. So like if you know football yardages, they had a pair of lanes over the 40-yard line and a pair of lanes over the other 40-yard line.
But you knew nothing about this, huh?
I vaguely remember this happening because it was a big deal locally, but until you brought up like stadium bowling, then I kind of narrowed it down.
All right. Well, I apologize to everybody for wasting everybody's time on that, but I do think it was a significant event for the world of bowling. Agree or disagree?
I agree.
Even though, hey, 6,000 people look like a lot of people the way they had it set up in that thing, though.
Yeah, because everybody was kind of down on the field, and it was kind of cool. Yeah.
Do you think we could ever have a college championship in an arena inside?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Learn.
Yeah.
Instead of every year having it somewhere. Reno, Vegas, or Green Bay, or wherever.
Anything's possible, Mark. Anything's possible.
This is true.
If you have a super intriguing matchup and you can pile people in there, you make it logistically make sense, you make it make sense geographically, I think it could be a really cool event. Yeah.
I wonder what the cost is on putting lanes in and then removing them.
Like an outside of bowling center setup like they did for nationals at Baton Rouge this last year, something like that. Yeah. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, what I've gathered is it doesn't cost as much as you'd think because those lanes are sold off to another center after they're done being used there is what I've gathered. But I don't know. That goes above my level of expertise.
I'll tell you what, in the month of March, I'm going to find out.
Okay.
Because I'm taking a trip to Muskegon.
You'll have to report back on what you find out.
Yeah, and I will see if I can find that out. All right, man. We're going to bring our guest in here in a few minutes as soon as he pops into the queue. But I want to pull this up. Let's see if I can maneuver here. Screen share. Entire screen. Share. Okay. Have you ever heard of this? It's bowlinglife.eu.
I saw this on Facebook today, I think.
Did you look at it?
Skimmed it very briefly.
I'm very intrigued, all right, because this is kind of in line with the system that I try and coach in a lot of perspectives. It's very simple. It's not a long story. It was written by this coach, and forgive me for the pronunciation of his name, Patagonius Vardicus. You see that right there?
Yeah.
Right
that was a good run at that. Yeah.
Okay. And there he is right there. He talks about making it more mental than it is physical. And these three statements right here, he says, yes, technique matters. Yes, the small bear helps. Yes, lines and angles exist. But in my experience in spare shooting, it's a 70-30 game. 70% mindset and feeling and 30% physical execution.
I agree. I agree with that.
So he said, don't start with where, start with how it feels. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah. There's a reason that you can't just give every player a blanket spare system and it works for all of them. Like the science and the angles and all that makes sense, of course, on a traditional spare system. But if I took 10 of my players and gave them all that spare system, for 5 of them, it might work fine. But for the other 5, there's just something that doesn't feel, something that doesn't look, some perspective is off, and they have to have something that works for them. I believe spare systems are very, very personalized to each individual. And a lot of it is based on feel, because if you're not confident doing it, you're not going to execute very well.
Yeah, his last 3 bullet points: your vision sharpens, your mind quiets, and your body commits.
Yeah, visualizing. Yeah.
So anyway, you can read about Patagonius.
I support all of that there. I think there's got to be a balance. It's got to make sense analytically and with the science, but it's also got to make sense to you as a bowler as well. I don't think that gets talked about enough.
It's all about feel.
There's multiple ways to play this game, right? Right before the camera turned on this evening, me and you were trying to coach each other on some film that we were sending back and forth.
I know.
And it proves to show that you can do it a bunch of different ways, but it's got to make sense to you. It's got to feel good, because if it doesn't feel good, you're not going to be confident. If you're not confident, that ball's going out the window and down the street, right? So you gotta be confident and visualize what you're doing and visualize that success.
All right. It is time to bring in our special guest. He's pretty good at filling frames. Spares, they happen every now and then because this dude strikes a lot. And I'm talking about Kris Prather. Let's bring him in. Kris, how you doing, man?
What up, guys? How's it going?
Going good. You are in the basement.
Yeah, we're in the middle of finishing it, so it's been a work in progress for a while.
All right. Well, hey, let's jump right in. I was talking about a story that recently appeared. It's kind of going around the wagon here about this guy that talks about his spare shooting philosophy, that it's 70% mental and 30% physical. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty accurate. I think that bowling as a whole is probably closer to like 80% mental and 20% physical, especially like once you get to the higher tiers of bowling. So like on tour, like everybody throws it good, everybody repeats shots. It's not necessarily about like how well you throw it. It's about the choices you make throughout a block in order to give yourself that extra hit, or make that split, whatever it is, just to fight for every single pin that you can.
All right. One of your house buddies, Kevin Williams, his statement comes up all the time. All right. My kids say it, when we're in practice, that, it's all about 8-baggers and spares are overrated and all that and everything. I mean, come on, that could be further from the truth, right?
I mean, he's not wrong. I think it depends, because if the scoring pace is really, really high, right? Let's say we're averaging 235 on like Cheetah or something like that, right? You're going to average 235 plus to make a cut on Cheetah nowadays. So, yeah, you're going to have to throw an 8-bagger in order to keep up, especially if you're missing spares. But the difference is like once the lanes get a little bit harder, especially at like the US Open, you see the guys that are traditionally pretty good spare shooters, but also have the ability to strike, are the ones that are making the cut and making the show. So I think it totally depends upon the environment. I don't disagree with him, but it's a day-to-day dependent.
Right? I get it. All right. One more question, then I'm going to send it to you, Jonathan. How important do you think the college game is today? And maybe even when you were a collegiate player, how important is the college game for those kids that want to pursue an opportunity to qualify for the tour?
Well, now with like how the points are working and everything like that,
yeah,
I believe the top 3 bowlers from the collegiate programs, whether it be the player of the year, runner-up, and second runner-up, I believe those 3 players get auto exemptions onto the tour for their first season.
Yeah.
And then they have to earn their way after that. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty positive that that's what it is now. the thing that I've disliked about bowling is it's a team sport all the way up until it's the highest level, right?
We're pounding our chests on that one, Jonathan.
Yep. He's got a point.
So when you're a kid, you're bowling, 3, 4, 5 person teams on Saturday morning, and then college, you're bowling team again, and then you go and bowl junior gold, and it's singles, and then they have the team competitions on the side, and then you go and bowl the regional tour. It's back to singles. So like, as far as the development side of it, I think college is incredibly influential because you get to learn who you are as a person. You get to figure out who you are as a bowler and how to work well with others. So that way, when you do get into the team environment, whether it's Team USA or representing another country, you at least learn how to navigate the different attitudes, egos, and each individual, right? So, and you also learn how to be coached, right? Mm-hmm. If you, like for me, I pretty much just grew up like watching the best bowlers on the planet and then being like, ooh, I want to do that. And then I would try to recreate it. So like I had to learn how to be coachable. And that's a huge thing when it comes to college and Team USA and all these other, team environments that we see is being coachable, right? We always talk about the coaches knowing how to coach, but if the player is just like, I don't want to listen to what that guy has to say, then you're not really accomplishing anything on either side, right? You could be working with the most influential person in bowling and they could be giving you all the right answers, but if you're not coachable, then what's the point, right? So I think bowling in that aspect is a little confused as far as like you're going from team environment to singles. So I think development wise, awesome, great, perfect. But as far as prepping them for the tour, I don't really think it helps all that much other than being able to compose yourself and fight through the adversity of all the stuff going on.
Great stuff, Jonathan.
One thing that I try to speak into our college players a lot, and I just want to hear your take on it. You can take it wherever you want. Talk a little bit about what confidence means in this game. Tournament to tournament, you're going to have high moments, low moments, but you're always going to have to go back to what you're confident in. Speak to us a little bit about how you approach it with confidence.
Yeah, confidence is a huge thing. I believe that that's one of the most important things in any sport is just being confident in your abilities. But the negative side of confidence is people can flip that to make it feel like you're talking about ego, right? And we can what's the young man's name? I got to get this right.
Where's he from?
You know what? I honestly don't even know. I saw him bowl 2 or 3 times in a couple different like little regionals or something like that. But he walked with his head high, knew exactly what he wanted, and didn't let other people's opinions influence how he played the lanes, right? When I think of confidence, I think that it's your ability to commit to whatever it is you want to do on the lane, right? If I'm bowling on, I will just use cheetah again because I think that you can play that a ton of different ways, right? You can either throw the urethane ball kind of up the gutter closer to the 4, 5, 6, whatever, or as they break down, you can do what I really like to do because it's a lot of fun. Stand in the middle part of the lane and throw that thing to the right gutter as fast as you can and see if it goes in or not, right?
Yeah.
But confidence to me is being able to commit to whatever it is on the lane that you're wanting to do, whether it's right, wrong, and different based off of what other people are telling you. If you believe in it so much that you can throw 95 percenters instead of 75 percenters, I think that's where confidence comes in more than anything, because maybe you don't have a coach with you that day. Maybe it's just you. You have to have that knowledge and that ability to just be like, I don't care what anybody else is doing. This is what I believe is right, and be able to fully commit to that, angle or speed or whatever you're trying to do. And I think that can be misconstrued as having like a big ego because you're confident in your abilities.
Yeah, I feel like we see that a lot in our world, don't we, Mark?
Oh, yeah.
Another thing I have, and this kind of pulls on your Team USA experience, and then maybe a little bit on your college experience on too. Tell us a little bit about what teammates mean to you. What are some ways they really help you, ways that maybe you've leaned into them, and some of the places they help create value that maybe you didn't think of on your own?
Yeah, great question, honestly. So like for me growing up, I didn't have a whole lot of friends. I was always that weird bowling dude in high school, and once I got to college, a lot of them helped me through some really, really tough times where like I was academically ineligible my freshman year, and Jake Peters, one of my best friends. I've known him longer than really anybody that's not blood relative. I met him when I was 14. I think I was a freshman in high school. Dude went Brooklyn 32 times in 5 games to beat me. Not a real stat, but pretty close. But once I was academically ineligible, Jake, he's terrible at texting, but back then he made a point to be like, "Hey, dude, how you doing? Like, just checking in. Are you getting your grades up?" And he was graduating, right? Like he was a senior when I was a freshman. He graduated. He'd moved on to bowl on tour and everything, but he made a point to just check in. Not a whole lot of other people did that. So for me, it's, yeah, you're my teammate, but whether, for example, like I'll use Ryan Barnes as an example, right? Like Ryan and I kind of like knew of each other. Obviously big fan of his dad. And then we started playing video games together, bowled on Team USA together. And the amount of time that you spend together with somebody on these international trips with Team USA is kind of insane, right? Like we went to Hong Kong for 2 weeks, and the only time that we weren't hanging out as a team was like when we were sleeping. That was pretty much it. We wake up, go to breakfast all together. So you get to know the guys really, really well. And so for me, it's like, if I don't know you as a teammate and I'm getting to know you, it's like I'm getting to know you so that way when we aren't teammates, we can still hang out, we can still go do stuff. I want you to be my friend, not my teammate, right? I want you to be my friend first, teammate second. And if we get to win a gold medal and we get to do some cool stuff, that just makes it even better, right? So it's not about like, oh, you're I'm a better bowler than you, you're a better bowler than me, like we're battling it out for positioning or whatever. It's very much like we have a common goal. We're trying to win a gold medal. We're trying to win this tournament. We're doing whatever. So all that ego gets put to the side. And if you have the better look, I'm going to advocate for you to bowl. And because that's just how much I want to win. And I don't think that a lot of people would do that, right? Like I 100% guilty of it, where I'm like, no, like I'm a really good bowler. I need to figure this out. But there's also times where like you just got to be honest with yourself. Like you ain't got it today. Like take a seat, man. Like it's okay. You have a bad day. Like give somebody else a shot. So that's one of the things that I pride myself on when it comes to team bowling is if I got it, I'll advocate for it. And if I don't got it, I'm honest with everybody. And I'm like, look, so-and-so's got a better spot. And they deserve to bowl more than I do, regardless of like accomplishments or anything like that, because bowling is such a day-to-day thing.
Interesting. Day to day.
I like that. Yeah. Sounds like one of us preaching to our players, Mark.
Yeah, honestly, like when it comes to like the college aspect, like I would, if I was a coach and I wouldn't make kids cry, I would be trying to build them as like I would want to be the bad guy, right? Like, I always think of like Miracle, where coach is just pissing off all the players, and they bond together to kind of prove him wrong, right? Like maybe not that extreme because we're not out there fighting Russians and stuff, but you know, it's one of those like they have to have a common goal. And if it's not winning a national championship, then it needs to be something smaller that all of them can agree on and work together to accomplish whatever it is that they're trying to do. Because 12, 8 people, whatever it is now on a college team working together is a lot better than 8 individuals trying to figure it out their own way.
Yeah. And I think Jonathan would agree. That's part of the biggest challenge is you're bringing players from across the country and they've had their success individually. Now, you've got a smattering of players out there that did it in high school and everything, but for the most part, they are probably either the number 1, 2, or 3 guy in their team or on their team in high school. So, I mean, everybody's kind of depending on them. So you bring these kids in and you have to teach them about how to learn how to be a team.
Yeah, 100%. The
big challenge.
The coolest thing for me, going from where I grew up in Pensacola, where like, no offense to the guys that I grew up with, but like around me, there was not a whole lot of competitions other than a couple of my really close friends. Like the next closest guy that you guys would probably know of is AJ Rice. And I only bowled against him like every other weekend. And even then, like, again, nothing against AJ, but at that time he didn't really know how to bowl on like the sport patterns. Yeah. And like we had 2 tournaments a month. One would be on a sport pattern, one would be on a house pattern. He crushed me on the house pattern by 500, and on the sport pattern he'd miss the cut. But you know, obviously as he's grown up, so it was like as soon as I got to Wichita and I'm seeing all of these guys that are talking about like covers and cores and layouts, and I didn't know any of that stuff. So I was just in awe of that, like someone my age could have that much knowledge, and it made it a lot easier for me to be like, I'm not as good as I thought I was. I need to work a lot harder. And I do think that it can be a little bit of a confidence booster for somebody. Like it would have been really easy for me to go somewhere. I almost went to Cumberland University instead of Wichita. And it would have been really easy for me to go there and be like, I'm the best bowler on the team. I should be in the 5-hole, blah, blah, blah. But fortunately, like I really wouldn't be in the position that I am now if it wasn't for Wichita State. But I think having little competitions amongst the players to make it healthy, right? But to also realize like, hey, I was the best at home. Now maybe I'm the 7th, 8th best on the team, right? And at least in that environment, right? Maybe on the long patterns, you're 6th, 7th, 8th, whatever. On the short patterns, you're running away with it, right? Everybody has those different patterns that they match up to. Like I'm typically really good on the flat ones, just because I can get my angles open enough to create hold and all this other stuff. But you know, you have to figure out which players are good in which environments, and then you can train them to be better in the ones that they're maybe not as good as. And that'll also help them gain confidence. Like I often think of like becoming a college coach and all this other stuff. I have no certifications or anything like that. Obviously I would go through all the training and become certified coach and everything. But that is definitely one of the things that I think I would excel at is being honest with the players and saying like, look, we're going to go and bowl on this 38-foot pattern. The reason that I'm taking you is because you're really, really good on patterns that are shorter than 40 feet. Right. And just vice versa. If we're bowling on something that's 45 feet, like, hey, I'm sorry, you're not going to go to this one because historically you haven't been good on the patterns longer than 40 feet. So we need to train some more. So that way, when this comes around again, you're able to be on that team. And whether that's right, wrong, and different, that's just how I would do it. Right.
All right, Jonathan, we're going to play What If.
Okay. I'm ready.
I don't want to get you in trouble on this one, but I think it's very, very important to really kind of solidify what Jonathan and I are trying to create. So what if It was a PBA event. You had no practice. You had no idea what the pattern was. You had never been to the bowling center before, and you're limited to 5 bowling balls. That's it. Would the scores be lower than they would be based upon everything that is available to you now?
I think the scores would be lower for certain individuals. Like, I think of like a Dom Barrett who can do literally everything to a bowling ball, or EJ who's just like he matches up incredibly well and he knows what bowling ball is for him. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing for EJ is like he can take that Venom Shock and make it work on literally every single pattern because that's just he's that talented, right?
Right.
But then if you take
don't have to mention names.
Yeah. But like let's just take a lefty, right? Like we mentioned Kevin Williams earlier. Right?
Okay.
We'll mention again. Kevin, I think, is again super, super talented, but I don't know that he has the versatility with his hand to create the different rotations that you would need to stay in, like for me, I can throw a phase 2 all day long because I can get it rolling end over end and I can get that thing spinning at 90 degrees. So it stores a lot more energy. I don't know if he would be able to build a bag because you got to have a plastic ball for him, right?
Yeah.
And you got to have at least 1 or 2 urethanes. So if the urethane's out, you're down to 2 balls, right? Mm-hmm. So like that's where my mind goes. Like the guys that don't rely on the urethane ball as much, especially if it's out of play, I think would maybe their scores wouldn't drop as much, but they would still drop a little bit because they wouldn't have the free fire to go and look at 32 balls or whatever it is in the back of the truck.
Yeah.
But overall, I would say like it's probably similar to maybe a little bit lower. I don't think a drop off would be as drastic.
Okay, you guys are the greatest players in the world, but as collegiate players, this is what we're being asked to do and have to do. I mean, we don't know what the pattern is.
You have to add in there too. You can't surface during practice either.
You can't surface.
Really, they changed that. That's crazy.
Yeah. All right, and as coaches, I'm going to go back to the statement that you made about, I may have players that are great on long patterns and couldn't hit the broadside of a wall, right, on a short pattern, but you don't know. You don't know. And I think Jonathan will be in agreement with me. We are huge proponents that, look, at least throw us a bone and let us know what we're bowling on so we can gear our lineups and our players for the conditions that we're going to face. Now, granted, I mean, there's so many other elements that go into transition, who you're crossing with, the topography and all that and everything. But it is a massive challenge for us as what we classify as non-blue blood programs that, yes, we have some talented players, but the talent level at college is nowhere near what some of the blue blood programs are like in college. So we do not have the experience at this level to be able to pick up, okay, well, this is where you need to be on the fresh, or they're really good at reading and reacting based upon what's taking place during transition. And I know I do, and Jonathan does too. I mean, we are constantly trying to teach our kids how to read and react, because you're never going to see the same thing, because you're never going to cross with the same team. And the pairs that you move to, you can have a team out there that's throwing, black beauties down the middle. Right? So the disadvantage and the point that I was trying to make with that what if is here, you guys are the greatest players in the world. You get 3 hours or more of practice on the pattern. You got a truck out there. If you need to go punch something out, you can go punch something out based upon what you're seeing. You got ball reps. You got all the resources that you need to be successful, but you still have to execute and you still have to perform. But us as college coaches and the college players, dude, we're bringing 5 balls hoping that we guessed right.
Yeah, we're really bringing 4.
Yeah,
because
because
in college you have to have your spare ball, right? Yeah. I mean, that's just such a vital part of the game, and that's the big thing. My take is on this whole discussion is the equipment side of it. Is you're bringing 4 darts in, and two of them might not be in play, but the average college player is not going to have the kind of versatility that's going to be able to make that work on anything like a tour pro would be able to do. Yeah. And so in my mind, you're almost rewarding who makes the best guess, matching up the right bag with the right surfaces and to whatever's out there.
Yeah. I will say there's 2 things that I take away from that. The first one is like when you guys are moving pair to pair, right? How many people are on your team that travel with you typically? 8. Okay. So one of the things that I would do, I don't know if it's legal or not, right? Scout? I have no idea.
Send a scout?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you're in the 7th, 8th frame. Send one of the kids, but I would look at it differently, not necessarily what they're crossing at the arrows. I would look at where they're sliding, right? Where they're sliding and where they're getting it 2 down lane, because that where they're sliding is more important, because where someone lays it down is different based on, for me, it's about 4 boards to the right of my ankle, just because of how my swing is. Mm-hmm. It's really close to my ankle. It might maybe 5. And then for some people, it's 7. Some people, it's 8. But if I'm sliding on 25, you can see that at least you have a starting spot of like, hey, he's going 25, getting it to 8. Sliding 25, getting it to 8. And pay attention to where your kids are sliding, right? The thing that I've started doing is taking notes of like, wish I had my my notebook, but I literally write down like, okay, I want to slide 25, I want to hit 15, and I want it to get to 7, right? Whatever. I don't even know if that maths right, but maybe it's 5. But we'll just say 25, 15, 5, right?
Okay.
Let's say one time I slide 27, I 2-pin. Okay, well I slid in the wrong spot, so if I slid in the right spot, then I don't need to move back to the right, because then I'm sliding 23, then it's a big 4, right? So tracking where you're sliding is a huge thing that Brian O'Keefe taught me, actually. So it's just keeping track of that, and it makes it a lot easier for me to keep track of like the differences in lanes and all this other stuff. Like maybe on lane 10 I'm sliding 25, maybe on lane 9 I'm sliding 29, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can communicate that, or your players can communicate that to each other, like, hey, I'm sliding 29 over here, especially like on the kid that's sitting, you got him coming in for a fill ball, right? Like it just makes it a lot easier to communicate that way. The second thing, going to equipment, I'm really surprised that they haven't upped it to 6 balls yet, because especially when you fly to like the Vegas tournaments, or you're flying, to the East Coast or whatever, like it would be so much easier to fly with 6 rather than 5, because 1, nobody wants to carry around a 2-ball tote, right? Nobody wants to do that. I think Motive has the 2-ball rollers, which honestly, those things look adorable whenever like Dick Allen's pulling them behind him. Like they look awesome, right? So I mean, maybe you can invest in those. Motive would be super happy, right? Or you can get like one of the Storm like 2-ball rollers that you go to league with, that have the shoe compartment on top and everything.
Oh yeah.
So, but I do think with them taking away all the urethane and everything like that, I wouldn't be surprised if the potential for a 6 ball came into play. 1, it makes more sense logistically, right? If you're flying or traveling, like it's just easier. Mm-hmm. And it gives those kids a couple, another option, especially since you're taking one of the balls out, to where maybe they have a urethane like, a 1 or 2 incher from their pap, and it's a urethane like motion. But that's just my thoughts on that, is like the potential for them to add a 6 ball is there. I'm really surprised that they don't let you guys change surfaces in practice. Like, did they give any kind of reasoning for that, or was that just a
No, that the only tournaments that is in the rules is for sectionals and nationals for both singles and team. Our normal events we still have our regular 15 minutes of practice and we can surface through that. But I just think it should be all or nothing. It either every tournament's the same way or every tournament's the other way. Yeah. Because you have to teach different philosophies about how you're trying to get your team to paint the invisible picture.
Right.
And if you're constantly chasing a different set of rules, it becomes really hard to teach like a unified structure of how to accomplish that. Yeah. And that could make a big difference.
And I would say if it was like the PBA collegiate championships, the PBA is never going to put less oil on the lane, right? USBC is very likely to go lighter volume, right? I mean, at the US Open, they did one that was 21 mils or something like that, which is the lightest volume pattern most anyone has seen since, other than like Team Masters, where they put like 5 or 6 mils out. But like on a professional level, like a decade longer, maybe, right? So with USBC, it's a lot harder to just be like, hey, you know what? Your big ASIN ball that's going to be the first ball out of your bag, I want that at 1,000 no matter what, right? It's really difficult to be able to say that because maybe you want it shiny, right? Which I would assume you're allowed to adjust surfaces like from day 1 to day 2. But if day 1 goes so bad, then day 2 is kind of like, we're just here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. I know we've got like 3 or 4 different subjects that we want to talk to you about. But one of the things that Jonathan and I got into a discussion about before you came on, and I want to know from a guy that's experienced, right? I'm kind of old school when it comes to the television shows. I am not a fan, and who cares? But this is just me. I'm not a fan of you guys having fans in the bleachers down the lanes. I mean, did that take a while to get used to?
Honestly, like the fans never bothered me much, right? Like as long as they're just like chilling over there, they don't really catch me off guard or anything like that. The whole reason they do it is so that way, like for example, right now, all you see over here is this black emptiness, right, of my drill room.
Yeah.
And if the TV, if the folks weren't on the bleachers down the lanes, that's what you would see on TV, right? When we're walking on the approach, if it's not the shot directly from behind us, it's one of the side shots, you would just see black emptiness. So they do it so that way, one, it'd be really cool to see yourself on TV later in the day, right? You go back and watch, and you're like, oh, there I am. But it's also so that way it feels like more crowded and more exciting and everything like that than if it was just open, empty space. So for me, as long as it's not like a bunch of like moving around to where it's like, you know, I need to put on some like blinders or something, it doesn't really bother me. Like talking doesn't really bother me that much. You know, babies crying, like whatever. So like it took me more time to be like, to grasp like, hey, I'm bowling on TV right now. Like it took me more time to deal with that than it did the people.
Okay. You know, Packy, he wants all kinds of noise.
Oh, 100%.
Are you cool with that?
Oh, yeah. Like if the crowd is hyped, I'm hyped.
There we go. See, that's what I'm talking about, Mark. Right there.
I'm okay with that.
We want that live golf atmosphere out here. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, like they try to, like Portland was awesome for so many years. And then I think the big reason why the league got moved from Portland was because it was getting run during the middle of the week. Right. So a lot of the people that would come out, get loud, get rowdy, they work. Right. Who's going to be able to show up to a TV show at 3:00 on a Wednesday? Like, no, not many people are going to take off work for that. Yeah. But it's obviously like that's the time slot we were given. So we have to make the best of it. Right. So I think the more people that we can get involved, the more people that are willing to treat it as a typical sporting event. Like, what was it? I bowled, I think it was the year we bowled the Elite League. It was maybe the last year or second to last year in Portland. Mm-hmm. I was telling the folks that were, it was the Bowler X 5 folks, I was like, yo, you guys should boo for us, because I was on the Lumberjacks, right? Like, you guys, like, how crazy would that be if all you heard whenever Kyle Troop threw a strike was boo? Like, just people booing in the stands. Like, obviously there's some people clapping and then you hear booing, right? Like, not everyone wants Patrick Mahomes to throw a touchdown, right? Not everyone is like, yeah, Patrick Mahomes, you know, that's not real sport. Now, the difference is that the locals were like, we don't do that here. We cheer for everybody. Now, granted, they do cheer for the Portland Lumberjacks a little bit louder, but they do cheer for everyone. I was just trying to like create a little like back and forth to where, like, could you imagine if it was like Kyle throws a strike, all the locals go crazy to drown out all of the booing, and then they start booing for the other team.
Yeah.
Right? That would work so much better if it wasn't all in one place and we went to, you know, Detroit and the local Motown Muscle fans showed up and did the exact same thing. But yeah, more noise, the better. I will say when the noise goes up, I bowl worse because the heart rate doesn't slow down as much before I throw a shot. And I'm like, the adrenaline starts going. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to rip on this one. I'm going to show them what's up. And then it's 6 through the middle every time.
Crazy. Hey, by the
Home
way.
field advantage, Mark. Home field advantage.
Oh, absolutely. Last summer, Kris, I got a chance to go to that center in Portland, Maine. Bayside. It's one of the most coolest bowling centers I've ever been at.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It was amazing.
And I didn't even realize, but they do weddings. A couple of years ago, Packy's sister Madison and her husband Pat. Funny enough, it's so Packy, whose name is Patrick.
Yeah.
His dad's name is also Patrick.
Right.
Also goes by Packy. He's Big Pack. Little Packy's brother-in-law's name is Patrick. So it's just a whole clan of Patricks. And but yeah, so Packy's sister got married at Bayside up top by the taco truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anytime you go there, they have like their picture, their wedding photo on their screens, like going through.
That's funny. I didn't see that. I don't know when they got married, but it was quite the experience. And the two sides that they have, the way that it's organized, just it's competitive, but it's entertainment. It's a great mix of both. And I would consider one of it probably the coolest centers around.
It's incredible. Like the amount of people that just love to bowl and they have such a positive attitude about it.
Yeah,
is incredible. Like I would love to take that atmosphere and just spread it throughout the country, because I think if people could have just a good time while they bowl, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, right? Like we get so many comparisons to golf, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the biggest difference is like someone will go out and shoot 125 and be miserable, but they're like, yo, I'm coming back next week, right?
Yeah.
You go and shoot 125 bowling because the stigma is that it's an easy sport, right? They're like, oh, I bowled 125. This sucks. This isn't fun. I'm not coming back, right? But you just did the exact same thing in a sport that's equally difficult because the physical ability to actually make contact with the ball. But the difference is you get to see the atmosphere and the different gradients that you're trying to combat, right? The being able to see it is what makes it feel more attainable, right? Whereas bowling, it's all mental, right? It's all visualization and like being able to paint this picture of what's happening on the lane. And I think that people get frustrated with that because maybe you're not a visual learner, or a mental learner, maybe you're a visual, right? So like,
all right. One question, and then I'll send it to you, Jonathan. Last week we had Dino on, and we talked a little bit about collegiate players building their arsenals.
Yep.
I would like to get your take, and let's just say 6 balls, one being a spare ball. What advice would you give college players in building their arsenal?
I would look at core dynamics and cover stocks. And then if you don't understand layouts, then I would learn about layouts or go to a pro shop operator that understands it, that you trust, to be able to lay out those bowling balls to give you 5 different shapes, right? And I would, we'll go 5, because actually we'll go 4, because one's probably going to be a urethane ball, so that one doesn't really count. But I would do like a big asymmetric that's just going to be like this big bleeding ball that's going to be super smooth, controllable. You can throw it on just about anything depending on your rev rate, and it's going to be your earliest reactive ball. It's going to be the one that picks up the earliest front to back. Then I would go a very similar route with a symmetric ball, whether that's phase 2, this new Vengeance that's coming out. Like, I think Vengeance is going to be really, really good for the people that are bowling on the competitive scene. But again, strong, very controllable, something that you can throw for a long amount of time, multiple games, especially if you're versatile with the hand. Then I would get into not necessarily a benchmark ball, but something that you have a lot of confidence in, that you can throw on a lot of different things and from a lot of different parts of the lane. So like for me, that is a phase 2 that's like 4 3/4 from my axis. I could throw that on 32 feet. I can throw that on 48 feet and anything in between. And I can play, big steep angles. I can play really shallow angles. And obviously this is going to take a lot of trial and error as far as like figuring out what you do, like what's your physical limitations as far as like what you can do on the lane. But figuring that out is just going to help you as far as a player. It's going to give your coach confidence to pick you to go to the tournament, right? I don't know if programs are doing what Weber does, where they do like weekly or monthly like tournaments that pick like the team for the next event or whatever. Like, that's how they used to do it. Or if it's just like, hey, you have the highest stats, you're gonna go, right? Right? Like, I don't know what each program does, but like
every coach has their own philosophy behind that.
I think that a healthy competition is a great way to do it. But if you're leaving the guy that's 98% on 10 pins, if you're leaving him at home, like you got to figure out a way to get him to go and travel, because good spare shooter in those types of events is way more valuable than the guy that's 65% strike percentage but 32% spare percentage. Like, so
fill in frames
100%. So that's where I think the benchmark ball comes into play, is just the ball that you have the most confidence in. And then for the last one, I would go with like anything that's overly quick and clean, right? Like for me, that ball's going to be, it was Road Warrior before it got discontinued. Now it's kind of like Next Factor, High Road, a really weak phase 2 Pearl. Like those are the balls that are going to be at the bottom of my bag.
Did you ever throw a Typhoon?
I did throw a Typhoon, but it was a little too weak for me. The cover on it wasn't that strong.
Okay.
I do think that at the college level, that's actually a really good ball.
All right.
Because like I was just about to say, like for me, like because of all my travels and all my experience, like I know that a ball like a Next Factor or a High Road is not going to be in my bag week in and week out because it's so clean. My ball gets through the front part of the lane easier than most people's, just because of how it gets on the lane, very like parallel. It's not into the lane or up onto it, right? It's very parallel to the lane. So my ball stores a lot of energy. I don't have to make my ball hook down lane. I actually have to make my ball stop hooking. Or like, I guess the correct way to word it would be start hooking early enough so that way it doesn't have a crap load of energy down the lane.
Makes sense.
So like learning that as a player, right? Like if you're two-handed, more times than not, you're going to need the weaker balls. But if you're one-handed, maybe you don't have the highest rev rate. Like you need the stronger equipment. Maybe, the two-handed guy's taking a high road and your weak ball is a phase 2 Pearl, right? Like that's what you have to figure out. And as a coach, you have to also be able to look at the difference in players and not just say, hey, we all have to take the same equipment, right? Each player is a little bit different, and you want to be able to say, hey, look, I know that you're most likely going to be bowling at this point in time. Like maybe we load you up on this side of the bag, on the higher side, because you're going to be bowling on the fresh more.
Right. All right, Jonathan.
So a good collegiate program, the players are going to have a lot of resources, access to equipment, lots of time to practice, good coaching. If you could put yourself back into a collegiate program today's day and age, what are 3 things you'd do from a development standpoint to get you where you are now if you were one of the current collegiate bowlers?
That's a great question. The first thing I would do is help them with mental training. I think that building that confidence in yourself, not in performances or outcomes or anything like that, but like one of the things that I'm really confident in is my ability to do anything on the lane that is required, no matter what's out there, right? And being able to commit to whatever that is. So I got there the hard way, right? I had to learn that myself and be able to say, look, you're good enough, great enough, whatever, to be able to do this. You have to believe in your abilities and trust that you're going to be able to do it correctly. So being able to bring in like a Dr. Dean or any kind of sports psychologist that is going to help you build that confidence and build the really trust amongst the players as well is a huge stepping stone. I'm not sure what the expense on that is. I assume it's flight, daily fee, and hotel. But a guy like Dr. Dean changed my life as far as like giving me, and this is recently, not even like back then, this is within the last couple of years, of helping me realize like battling back from my injury and stuff, like you can still do, he was like, you can still do all of those things. You just have to get out of your own way. And he helped me build back that confidence of like, you're right. I can do all of these things. Like, I'm actually better than I was then. And, trying to get out of my own way and do all of that. So mental training is definitely 1. 2, I think that if you can get a ball sponsorship from any of the companies, it doesn't matter which, but especially if I'm a new program starting out, trying to get ball company assistance when it comes to getting product, because college kids are paying 40, 50, 70, 80, $100,000 in tuition. Like they don't have any money to be able to buy new equipment. So being able to be like, hey, we have this amount of budget for the year. If you need something, give me a reason why you need it, and then I'll help you get what you need. Right? Like that's how I would word it. Is you can't just get a ball to have a ball. Like my phase 2 has 400 games on it. I need a fresh one. Right? Like that's a valid reason. Or like, hey, you know what? Like my ball is hooking a little bit too much down lane. Can I get something a little bit smoother? 100%. Let's drill it up. And that gets them thinking about what they need, what they're missing, and how to develop a working arsenal that they can do once they leave college. Right?
Yeah.
Because if it's just, hey, you know what? We got 58 balls back there. Let me get one. They're not really learning about it other than like what that does for them. Right. But if they get to the critical thinking side of it, of like, you know what, this is what I'm missing. Like, I don't know exactly what I need, but I know what I'm missing. That makes it so much easier, and it builds my confidence. Like if a kid comes up to me and is like, hey, I'm really missing blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm shipping you one because you gave me a reason. Right. And that's, if one of your guys' college kids comes up to me and is like, yo, I heard what you're saying on that podcast. I'm really missing this. We ran out of budget. Can I get one? Like I'm shipping them a ball.
Oh, you're opening up the door now, Chris. Good.
Hey, Mark, we're more likely to see them than you are, so we might be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Greatly appreciated, though.
And like I said, you got to have a reason. You got to have a reason.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I think that physical development is obviously crucial, but I would go lane play. Lane play, ball motion because, like I said, at the top level, everyone throws it great. If you are consistent to the foul line and you can create different ball rolls and releases and all this other stuff and different speeds, right? You open up you open up your world to how you can play the lanes. So being able to figure out how to play the lane differently and create different types of ball motion is incredibly valuable. I think that's more valuable than having a good physical game. Some of what they teach does not always transfer over to like the tour setting, but as far as like learning ball motion, I think Bowl U does and Rick Benoit does a great job of teaching ball motion and teaching the different angles that you can play as far as like what's useful and what's not useful. Because I think I have a penny. I do have a penny. I'll just draw it real quick.
Bonus here.
There we go.
Because one of the things that I learned from Bowl U that helped me specifically on the fresh, because like when I was bowling really, really well and winning, what I was doing was trying to save myself for the first couple games, right? Like game 1, game 2, I had the lowest tour average of any Storm bowler. Okay. So like my first game average was like 197 or something like that. And then my game 2 average was like 207. But then the last 4 games, I was the highest. I was higher than everybody in the field. And that was the only reason I was making cuts. It was the only reason I was making TV shows, was because I was averaging so much the last 4 to make up for the first 2. So I went to Rick Benoit and I went to Brad Angelo, and I was just trying to figure out like what, I guess let me draw it properly. I was trying to figure out what angles made sense for me as far as, so that's our lane. Can you see that all right?
Yeah.
Obviously not the straightest lines, but so what they do is, we'll put the arrows like right there. So I drew 2 lines there, and that right there is like 3 degrees of entry angle and 4 degrees. So this first line, 3 degrees. That second line is 4 degrees. So that is like the most widely used entry angle in bowling. It's the most like consistent or whatever. It's just like, I forget how they described it, but like that's what you use the most. And what they'll do is they'll take black electrical tape, put it on the lane at those angles, and then tell you to go and match up to it. And they'll do it all the way from 1 degree to 10 degrees of entry angle. 10 degrees is like your ball's going into the pocket at from like 58 feet or 55 feet or something like that. Like it's basically going in it sideways, which is what people think. But if you actually look at ball motion from, because I try to draw this to scale, and like the actual like way that you would look at a lane, it's more like this arc than it is like what people think, which is that, right? Like that.
Makes sense.
Super, super sharp. Like most all of bowling is the very archy motion. That's good repeatable ball motion. Like if you ever watch your ball with a piece of tape on your axis, like it starts flaring like right after the arrows on basically like every single ball. Like trying to get your ball to hook before the end of the pattern is one of the most crucial things and one of the most difficult things that I struggle with, because my ball gets so far down the lane so easily. That's why I have to use surface to try to get it to pick up before the end of the pattern. And just imagine how hard that is on a 32-footer, right? Like that's why urethane is so crucial for so many people, because it automatically picks up before the end of the pattern on basically everything. That's why it's such a used product in the younger generation, and even on tour. Like every game 1, if you're not throwing the urethane ball, like they've got to either be really, really hard and the urethane ball's not in play, or it's hung where it just doesn't strike anymore. So like, what was it at the U.S. Open? Like, I think it was almost like a urethane ball and a half, like 1.5 urethane balls per bowler or something like that, I think was the average. And it's probably closer to like 2 to 1 at like the collegiate nationals, last year, obviously.
Yeah.
So, that's why it's such a useful tool. Like, I've never been the type of guy that's like, oh, we should ban it or anything like that. But when it's the only thing being used, it's not really good for bowling.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to ask the burning question before Mark finishes up. And I'm going to phrase it in youth bowling, not to get Kris in trouble here, but what's your opinion on the usage in the current state of urethane in youth bowling?
I think it's a great way for kids to learn ball motion and see their ball hooking early. Like, I think that it's a great tool, right? Especially with so many kids being two-handed. With the high rev rates, like, they have to be able to keep their ball on the right side of the headpin. If you give a kid with 520 rev rate in Ion Max, like, he's going to be sliding in the left gutter on every single pattern, and he's going to have this completely uncontrollable ball motion. So I do think that it's really, really useful. But what I think they're missing is, because it's so useful, it's the only thing that they throw. So the release that they use going from a urethane ball to a reactive ball, those are different. It's like a driver swing and an iron swing. Like, a driver is this like big sweeping motion that you're trying to hit up on, and an iron is not necessarily down into the ground, but you're trying to, compress the ball a little bit more into the ground. And urethane is very much like hit up on it, make that thing pick up. And with a reactive ball, you do that and it's going to hook and bail, right? Whereas the urethane ball is going to keep going. So I think that that's why kids throw it so much, is because they're like, oh, I can't just do the same thing with a reactive ball. Like, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to make the urethane ball, right? And that's 100% true. But it's also because they don't have to do anything else. And now that there's some restrictions put on as far as like what you can and can't throw, I think that kids their development is gonna grow, because I've had to learn how to throw the urethane ball. Like, I've been working on it for the last 7 years trying to figure it out, because I throw it with my thumb. My rev rate's not the highest, so like I can't curve it like those guys that don't throw it with their thumb. So for me, I have to figure out what works for me and how I can best use that tool. So after working for almost a decade, like, I'm finally figuring it out and learning how to curve it a little bit. But also, like, my favorite way to throw it is to give him the absolute rocket, like Eugene McCune, like up 5, just right in the dirt, throw it as hard as I possibly can, and just get it to just barely hook a little bit right in the pocket. And that's like, if I can do that, like, good luck type of deal.
Well, we probably need to tell them, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but they passed the rule that in sectionals now, no urethane, nationals, no urethane. And believe me, I know players right now, some of the top players in the nation, all they've thrown all year long is urethane.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the biggest reason for doing all of that is because, like, when you go over to Europe, right? Like, over in Europe, if you don't have a purple hammer, like, you literally cannot win. Right? Like, there are people that leave other ball companies track because they bowl in Europe and they can't throw anything. Like, if you don't have a purple hammer or a black hammer in your hand over there, you literally are bowling for like 11th or 15th or something. Like, it's impossible. So I don't blame the kids for throwing it, but I do think that you will see you'll either see people quit because they're like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to learn a new skill. I just want to keep doing the same thing. Or you'll see kids that are like a little bit defiant, like, you can't shut me out. Like, I'm better than just the urethane ball, and I'm going to prove it to you. And then they're going to learn all these new skills, and they're going to be a better bowler for it.
Yeah.
Right? I agree with that.
That's 100%
cool stuff. That's really good. I mean, I hope people that listen and watch this, they understand the juice that they're getting from Kris. Some really good insight on just somebody that obviously is one of the top players in the nation. All right, a couple more things, and then we'll let you go, Kris. You're good on time, right? We don't want to push you. If you need to go, you get on time.
I ain't doing nothing. Yeah, as you can see, I'm definitely not working on my basement.
All right. Oh, by the way, I'm going to send you a piece of info here real quick. There's a book, and I know you like to read every now and then. There's a book by Tim Grover called Relentless.
Yep.
And I don't know if you've read it or seen it. Highly recommend it.
I think we've talked about it before.
It's an amazing book because he talks about what he did with some of the greatest basketball players in the world, including Kobe, Michael Jordan, and Dwayne Wade and some other players too. But it's all about that mental aspect. And I know Jonathan and I constantly talk about the importance of developing that mindset and understanding the mindset that is necessary to have success, and learn from your failures, because failure will create success if you grow on it. So
100%.
You need to check that out. Great book. All right. We were talking about and I don't know what it was called. I don't know if it's the players tournament committee or advisory council. Are you still involved with that? And what is it called?
Yeah, it's just the players committee. Like basically the PBA comes to us with like their ideas on what they want to do, and then we as a committee vote like, is this the right direction, wrong direction, whatever, and we give them our opinions on like what we think should happen, and then they take our opinions into account and say this is what we're going to do. A lot of the times, like if they just completely disagree with us, they'll be like, like we're going to do what we want because that's their right. And that's also like how it should be. Like the players shouldn't run their own organization type of deal, but
Right.
I do think that they should have like, they should be able to put in their own like 2 cents and be like, like it could be more exciting for the players or for the people watching if this happens instead of this, whatever. So yeah, like that's pretty much our whole deal is just to give opinions and then go with whatever the PBA says, basically.
How much truly, and I'm not trying to get you in trouble or throw anything out there that doesn't need to be said, but I'm really curious how much good comes from that tournament committee, and is it really beneficial for the players?
I think that any kind of player committee that actually gets to communicate with the people in charge is beneficial.
Okay.
As far as for us, it's a little bit different because we're talking with Tom Clark,
right,
who then talks to the folks at Bolero PBA, right, or Lucky Strike or whatever you want to call it now.
Right.
So he's kind of the middleman, and that's totally fine because like if I disagree with something, like it's really difficult for me to bite my tongue in a lot of situations, and I don't want to piss people off, right? So for me, I think that if we become too influential, then it's a bad thing, right? Like I think as of right now, like could it be better? Yeah, but I wouldn't be able to say like this is the direction that we would need to go for it to be better. Right. I think that the only thing I could do is like say like put us in contact with Lev, who's the actual like person in charge of the PBA and makes all the decisions. Like if we had more conversations directly with him instead of through Tom to Lev, I think that there would be, not that Tom does a bad job, because I think that Tom advocates for the players more than the general public understands.
Right.
But then he doesn't have to be the middleman, and there's no chance that there's the mix up in communication or anything like that. And not everything is, communicated the way that we said it, basically. So that's really the only thing that I would do differently. But obviously, Lev's a busy dude, so like we get an hour like every other month or like once a quarter or something like that.
Right.
So it's difficult to really have like a great impact when it comes to that kind of stuff.
All right, cool. Jonathan?
I'm trying to think what else we haven't covered yet. I guess
I got 2 or 3 different things.
Have you briefed Kris on this whole idea of head-to-head bowling in college?
I have not. That was next on the agenda to kind of get his take on the what we're trying to accomplish and how we're trying to make, and this is very important, how we're trying to make college bowling better.
Okay.
And that is a key because, basically the game has been competed the same way for 50 years. There hasn't been a whole lot of change. So what Jonathan and I are trying to do is make it better by having a school versus school format, just like every other college sport. And the Cliff Note version is 3 periods, school versus school. The first period is singles competition. That's why I was beating my chest earlier when you were talking about preparing players for the PBA Tour. So and we've actually had 2 of these matches between SNU and DBU. He selects 4 players. I select 4 players. They bowl round robin. They get 10 bonus pins if they win their match. Then the top 2 players from each school go head to head in the showcase match for 30 bonus pins. And they're the only ones bowling. Okay, pins carry over. Period 2 is doubles action, where you have 4 doubles teams bowling against each other head to head, and then you have the same thing with the showcase match. Pins carry over. Then period 3 is 10 Baker games. Total pins wins 3 period. You have a winner, you have a loser, you have a win-loss record. The kids have thoroughly enjoyed this format.
Yeah, and I do like that. The only thing that I would do differently is I personally just don't like bonus pins. Like I've been on both sides of it where I've lost because of bonus pins and I've won because of bonus pins. But like the days that I've won because of bonus pins, I was also like bowling well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but I'm very much an advocate of like bonus pins are stupid. And if you want to do head-to-head matches, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But I think that a mix, like I don't know if you guys have kept up with like NCAA and how they do their tournaments, right?
Yeah.
And what about IBF? Have you looked at any of the IBF tournaments and how they do
I
theirs?
have not.
Okay, so IBF is kind of like the next version of what NCAA does, because NCAA is all matches and you move on based on your win-loss record, right?
Right.
So IBF, you have a qualifying block, right? Let's say we're bowling singles. You bowl 6, 7, 8 games, whatever it is, and then you get seeded into 4 different pods or 3 different pods, however many people there are.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say there's 8 people in those pods. You could have, with obviously it's Team USA, Team whatever. You could have all 4, all 6 of your own players in the same pod, but only 2 can move on, and it's based off of your win-loss record. So to move on to the non-bonus points portion of like your event would be to make it about wins and losses, not about total pins.
And that's a great point, because we're actually discussing, ways that we can tweak it. And it's like, it becomes a score rather than total pins.
Right. Exactly. Like it doesn't matter if I win 120 to 111, or if I win 250.
You got the W.
I got the dub.
Yeah.
Right. Because then it's, hey, you're bowling against your opponent that's on the lane with you, not bowling against every single person in that pod at that moment, right? Because if I bowl 120 and win, and I beat the leader who bowled 119, right? That's still that hurts them more than if they bowled based on the total pin side of it rather than just the win-loss. Because if you lose one game, right, you can have one bad game and still be able to move on. because not everybody's going to go undefeated. But if you go undefeated, then obviously you're the best bowler in the pod type of deal. So like I do think that there's like a hybrid version of it, as long as there's enough games. Like the thing that I don't like about the IBF thing is that there's just not enough games as far as like once you move on and everything like that. Like it's just such short formats.
Yeah, Jonathan had a great idea of the whole point concept, and we're actually going to try and have another match, and rather than it be total pins, we're going to use the point scenario, because then it ends up being, you know, maybe like a 95 to 106 or something like that.
Yeah,
rather than 12,000 pins, you know.
Because we ran into a situation, you know, as we bowled a couple of these against some other schools, testing formats, lengths, and bonus pins and structures and things like that. We found that if it's total pinfall, there's a likelihood that it becomes a runaway match a little faster.
Yep.
And especially with the bonus pins, if they started adding up, we've had a couple honor scores even shot in some of these matches. And Chris, like what you were mentioning, if that's being shot on one side, but then the other team has one bad game, it takes them a large amount out of it. And then by the time you get to Baker games, I mean, if it's 500-600 pins, you're not going to make that up. Why bowl the 10 Baker games? But if you have, you know, point structures where maybe it's not bonus pins for the win, but it's a point for each win or something like that, you're still giving that team a chance to claw themselves back in. Makes it more entertaining, keeps the players more engaged. At least that was my take when me and Mark discussed it.
Yeah, 100%. Like if I'm on a team that's 1,000 pins out of leading, like dude, I don't need a bowl. Like you haven't bowled much this season. You got it, buddy. I'll hold the clip.
Yeah.
But and then just the same on the other side of it. If we're leading by 1,000, like again, bro, I don't need a bowl. Go ahead. We could not bowl the last 5 games, and most likely we're still gonna win. Like we could just chill.
When the basketball team unloads the bench.
Yeah, like, yeah, exactly. You know, so like. If you let's just take it, you know, let's say there's 8 games of like head-to-head matches, and then the top, you know, 12 move on or whatever, and then you have 12 Baker matches after that. Like you're looking at it as like 20 points possible. Let's see how close we can get to that 20, rather than like, okay, there's what is that?
A lot of pins.
1,600 or like times 5. Like that just seems so convoluted, and like it's easy to like mix it up and lose track. But if you're a spectator and you look at that team that's 10-3 and they're only a game behind the leaders, you're like, oh, like okay, they're in it. And you look at the people that are in 8th, and maybe the people that are in 8th are like 6-4. Right, they're like, okay, well, they're only 4 games back. Like that's still doable. There's still a lot of games left. Like they could absolutely go undefeated these last 10 games and get 16 wins, and maybe they have a pop. You know, like it just opens up the possibility for all of that. Now, I will say you still have to keep track of total pins, because I do believe that ties should go to total pins, right? But no bonus pins, obviously.
Right. I like the points thing. And like I said, that's one of the things that it was one of your players. Is that right, Jonathan, that brought it up?
Yep.
And I never really thought about it until Jonathan brought it up to me. And I like that a lot. I think
that's what's cool about this whole development process is because we can kind of create it the way we want to. We're really leaning on our players, me and Mark both. Okay, what do you guys think? What do you guys want to see? What's going to make this an enjoyable event for you? What's going to help you get the most out of your college bowling experience? And they are not shy about their feedback, and that's what makes it incredible.
Yeah, that's the best part. And the thing that I'm hearing right now that I love is that you're accepting their comments, because realistically, like they're bowling more than both of you, right? They're traveling, they're going to different tournaments, they're seeing different formats, and they're seeing what's cool and what people are enjoying competing in, and enjoying the like actual like spectating side of it.
Yeah.
So like being able to make it a more spectator friendly sport is, I think, what's going to help bowling grow more, because I think that like you ask somebody to pick out their favorite format off the, you just walking down the street, you ask them like, what's your favorite bowling format? They're going to be like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Right? Like where they knock them all down on the first try.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you tell them to keep score. They're like, how much is a strike worth? I knocked them all down. So there's 10 pins. So that must mean it's 10. And then if I do it again, that's another 10. So I have 20, right? Like they're not wrong, but they're not right either. So it's like the way that however we can simplify it down to where the average person can be like, oh, I understand what's going on just by tuning in. Like that's, I think the best way to go. And I also think that that's why the NCAA like is straight matches, because it's just about winning your game, and it's a lot easier to track. Your score matters, but not as much as winning the game, right?
I'll give Mark a lot of credit here. He was a big proponent on us having a scoreboard.
Yeah,
but it's a realistic thing. People can look up and go, "Oh, SNU's winning by 3 points," instead of the normal situation we find ourselves in. There's a line of about 60 people standing behind this 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that's taped to this wall somewhere in the bowling center, and you're trying to figure out if there's 60 teams there and you're 10th and cuts 8. Okay, where are those other teams? Who are we chasing? It's really hard to track. I think it's hard for the players. Not that they're not competitive. They are. They're athletes. They want to be competitive, but it's hard for them to get their claws down on what's happening and be motivated to go kick somebody else's tail in that format versus what we've tried to create with the head-to-head.
Hey, we got feedback or received feedback from the guys. The biggest thing, Kris, is that they're bowling singles, they're bowling doubles, and they're bowling Baker team. And the rivalries are created. Like we have a huge rivalry between us and DBU now, not only just from these series, but just from the fact that we're working on this together, and there's a lot of trash talking going on, but we're trying to build this thing together. And realistically, as a coach, well, I could use 4 players in singles, 8 players in doubles, and up to 8 in the Baker matches if I wanted to. That gives me access to play 20 players if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Well, where I go to a tournament now, and quite honestly, you got 6 kids that, if you're really trying to win, and the other 2 are holding a clipboard or an iPad.
Yeah.
So, and the best player development happens by actually bowling in these tournaments.
Imagine that.
So it's super hard for that 7th and 8th guy to get that time and develop, because
they get a full shot every now and then.
JV team too.
I mean, come on.
So,
and I, like I said, what you guys are doing is awesome, because it's focusing on player development in all aspects, right? Like I think in the college side of it, like we had to go and find singles tournaments to go and bowl back, when I bowled, and then it was just all team stuff. So that was great. I didn't have to rely on just me, and it was a lot less stressful, but I also knew after college I was going to go bowl on tour. So I needed to experience a little bit of that stress and that animosity and like dealing with other people by myself without having my teammates behind me. Right. So being able to like run those types of tournaments that give them a little bit of everything is awesome.
My favorite part too is the relationship the player, and Mark touched on it a second ago, the relationship the players develop with the players from other teams. Yeah. Like the night before we bowled them up in Oklahoma City, we all had dinner together. That was just an incredible environment. And then we go bowl each other the next day, and they're talking trash back and forth over the ball returns and all kinds of stuff. But for them, it provides them the best student-athlete experience possible. And I think that's an important thing to be remembered and think about when it comes to collegiate bowling is, very few of these guys might get a chance to find success on the tour. So you're just providing them the best experience in their present form that they can get. And any way we can do that, I think, is what kind of motivates us all to try different things.
Yeah. And I also think that it gives them the joy to keep doing it after college, right? There's so many kids that they go to college, they bowl in high school, they go to college, bowl in college, and then they're done and they're like, I'm done bowling, right? I'm not going to bowl league. I'm not going to do, tournaments or anything like that. I'm just going to quit. And I think that being able to keep that younger generation engaged in the not necessarily recreational side, but I would say the amateur side of it, being able to keep them engaged in the amateur side of it is going to just like, I think that's a big crucial part of making sure that bowling is growing instead of diminishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
All right, man. A couple things I want to touch on the fishing aspect of Kris Prather, and Kris and I kind of became friends. One of the coolest things that I did when I was doing my gig over on the bass fishing side was actually to hook up, pardon the pun, Kris with Jimmy Houston in my studio when the Snowman Doubles was taking place in Shawnee at Fire Lake, and they host all kinds of events there. But that was a memorable event, and I had no idea until that event that Kris was such an avid angler, and I should have known that being from Florida. But Kris, I mean, you have a fishing sponsor on your jersey, which has got to be the first in the history of the PBA.
Yeah, it's super, super cool. Yeah, I tell that story all the time, by the way. Anytime somebody's like, "Oh, Strike King, like, is that the fishing company?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, it's sick." And then I don't know if I have a picture still or not, but going around and just like having these conversations with all the people trying to, they're like, "Oh, dude, I'll take you out on the boat anytime you want."
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like I'm trying to make this cut. Like, I want to make the cut. Like, don't tell me we're going to go fishing if I miss this cut, because I'm going to miss this cut.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know of any. This is my current garage. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know
Let me blow it up. Hang on. Okay, I'm blowing it up.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
I have since there's a third rod rack over here on the other side of the garage, and that's my kayak.
Nice.
Yeah. So I grew up saltwater fishing, red snapper fishing, and that's kind of what I did. Now that I've moved to the Midwest up here in the Chicago area, it's a lot of bass fishing and crappie fishing, and it's full hooked.
That's it was cool, and we still haven't had an opportunity to go out on the lake ourselves, but hopefully, depending on the schedule of the tour and your travel schedule, I still know a lot of pros that want to get the opportunity, including myself. Not that I'm a pro, but want to get you out of the water, and some of the Strike King guys too that are on staff. It's cool. It'd be cool. So
yeah, 100%. Was it 2 years ago? When did Troop go on the water with Ike and Ellie?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago. It was on his show, and I forget what it was called.
Yeah, but it was on Ike's show.
Yeah,
super cool. Good for him. I'm not jealous at all.
Hey, Ike and Ellie did not confer with me who I would recommend for that show on the bowling standpoint, or I would have picked you.
The worst part was I was talking to Mike, who used to do all of the staffer contracts and stuff.
Yeah.
It's moved on. Now it's, I believe, Ian. But Mike, I had emailed him before Troop went out on the water with Ike and Ellie, and I was like, "Hey, how sick would it be if I got out on the water with Kevin Van Dam? Like, how sick would that be?" And he was like, "Oh, that's actually a really good idea. Like, let's see if we can make that work." And then 2 weeks later, Troop's out on the water with Ike and Ellie, and he goes, "Hey, man, we're not gonna double down. There's already been a pro bowler." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm watching it right now, and I'm fried."
I know. Well, there's still don't like crush yourself to death on that it's not going to happen, because there's still a possibility that could happen. He's still heavily involved, even though he's retired from tournament fishing. He is the GOAT. There's no doubt about it.
He's my favorite fisherman by far. And it's but it was just funny how, like, I had the idea. I was like, "Yo, here's the opportunity. Like, it's been 3 years now. Like, let's see if it works or whatever." And then he's out on the water with Ike and Ellie, and I'm just like,
I know. Sorry about that, man.
Couldn't do anything on that. Sorry. I was giving him crap the other day. We were in Utah. We went to a little storm clinic. out
Did
in.
he talk about it?
No, well, he brought it up, and I was like, I wasn't even at the table he was sitting at. I was faced the other way. I hit my table. I turned around. I was like, I wanted to do that, and then I see you and your fro out on the water with Iaconelli, and looking like a fool. And no, he did a good job, but I gave him crap for like 10 minutes about how like you crushed my dreams, and he's like, well, man, I'm really sorry, but it was a good time. I was like, I bet.
All right, we're gonna dive down a hole now that you don't have to comment on whatsoever, but I'm just curious because I have such an admiration for the past. Now, do you remember a name? The guy's name was Steve Wunderlich. Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah.
All right, Steve and I, great friends. Steve is actually retired on Table Rock Lake, fishes all the time now, and Steve has done a tremendous amount for me. He told me incredible stories about some of the stuff that took place out on tour that was away from tour, of where guys would actually bowl pot games, not at the center where stuff was taking place, but they would have these big high dollar pot games at other centers, if they didn't make the cut or if there was a break in time, whatever. Does that take place on the current tour? Do guys actually bowl heads up for money anymore on tour?
Well, if we bowled for the amount of money that they bowled for back then, probably, because we'd have expendable, income. To be able to lose a couple grand here and there. But right now, if we were going to have matches like that, it would be Belmo versus EJ versus Simo versus Andrew. I don't remember who finished 5th in points, but it'd be like the top 5 guys in points bowling each other, because everybody else is like, we're not making ends meet. Like, we're doing okay, but it's not enough to be like, hey, dude, you want to bowl for a grand?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to bowl another guy on tour for 1,000. I'm already bowling him for 100,000. Like, I'm not going to, especially if I'm bowling bad, I'm not going to lose my opportunity at 100,000 and then be like, yo, dude, you want to take my 1,000 I got as well? Like,
so that action just doesn't happen away from the tour, huh?
No, mostly I think it's because it's in such a short span now. Like, our tour is only like 4 months, and realistically it's like 3.5 with travel and everything. So in this year is going to be even worse. It's like 10 weeks dead straight, no breaks. And if it was like it was in the 80s, 70s, 90s, all that, where it was 30 weeks and you could take a week off or you could take 2 weeks off, like, then it wouldn't be that bad. You'd be able to say, hey, I'm going to bowl the first 8, take a week off, bowl the next 6, take a week off, bowl 8, all that stuff. And you could still qualify for your exemption and everything like that. Now it's like you have to be ready. You have to bowl week in, week out, try to bowl as many games as you can. Like, I don't know how some guys are going to be like, because I'm driving pretty much all of it. Like, if I make the show in Dallas, I then have to drive the whole next day to get to St. Louis, which is 8-9 hours, whatever, to try to make it there on time for practice. And then the next day starts competition again. So it's like we don't really have any breaks. So it's going to be really tough for guys to, like, when like Norm and Walter would make show, like, it's a lot more difficult to do that because there's less travel time. There's less recovery time.
Hey, by the way, Wunderlich and his roommate at the time for a long time was David Ozio.
Yeah,
and
who's a guide on Lake Fork, right?
I know, and they would actually have their fishing rods, and when they had time off, they weren't bowling action; they were on the lake or a river or doing something.
Yep.
And it's just weird to see Ozio doing what he's done for the past probably 15, 20 years, and he's really good at it too.
Yep. I thought of something really funny when I learned that he was a guide, because I don't know if he watches bowling. Like, I don't know if he has any idea who I am. Yeah. I know obviously who he is, but I was just going to book a guy, like book him as a guide for a couple days and just sit on the boat with him and fish and not bring up bowling and see like if he realized that I'm a bowler or anything like that.
That would be great. That would be great if you had like a
camera on that right there.
Record the whole thing without him knowing it or anything. Yep. That would be gold.
Yeah.
Gold.
Especially if he's like, well, you're not very good at this, are you?
Oh, all right. I have to ask, or all my fishing friends out there that bowl would be very upset at me. Are you on the forward-facing sonar bandwagon?
No, I don't have that on my boat. I don't have it on my kayak. I think it would be really, really cool if I could convince my wife that I needed it, and then I could get it. But I do have a 2000? It's either a 2002 or a 2004 Skeeter sitting in a barn in Pensacola that is waiting on me to fix up. I think it's 20 feet. And I do plan on putting all new electronics, and I'm going to advocate for the forward-facing sonar just so that way I can say there's no excuses. I either found him today or I suck at fishing.
Yeah, it's kind of Jonathan. It's kind of the urethane of the bass fishing world.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels very video game-esque.
I will tell you, it is a tool in collegiate bass fishing that is used.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yep. Yes, it is. All right, Jonathan, any final questions or thoughts for Kris?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered a little bit of everything.
This has been great. This is cool stuff.
Thanks for having me on. This has been a good time.
Yeah, great stuff. And wish you the best. Season starts in what? 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
3 weeks. 3 weeks, the 16th.
All right, kicking it off. And some challenges ahead of you. And we will be following you. And I'm serious, man. I know you're tight on schedule, but if things work out to where you can break away and go make a few cash, just let me know.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to be driving to Wichita from Dallas. So obviously if I make the TV show, then I won't. But if I don't make the TV show, I'm going to stay in Wichita for a day or whatever. So I'll be driving right through Oklahoma City. So I'll shoot you a text.
Let me know.
Get it?
All right, man. Appreciate the insight and all the advice for our college players.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. We'll see y'all later.
All right, man. Take care.
Thanks, Kris.
All right, see you. There you have it, Kris Prather. And he, his nickname is Shark. And I mean, he's talked about why that, but I'm telling you, man, he is a magician when it comes to the bowling ball and what he can do with the bowling ball. I mean, he can do 1,000 different releases, and he's really one of the most versatile players that I've ever seen. And even if he's not a two-hander, I don't really care.
One of the things that sticks out to me, and this is telling of a lot of players, is if youth bowlers seek to go watch some pro bowl over and over again, or go to find slow-mo videos and try to bowl like them, you hear this all the time about EJ and Belmo and things like that, but Prather's name is right up there too. Talk to enough youth bowlers, they all know who he is. They love his release. They watch him bowl religiously. They become fans too, right? That's how you develop a following. And so if you can reach that status, you've got it figured out pretty well. And I hope he has a great tour season. But as he was saying, it's fast and furious. I mean, it's condensed down. A lot of it has to do with the new media rights deal, obviously, with what they have going on there. And I think that will be good for the tour. But man, those guys are going to be on the grind for those 10 weeks. And just think about how hard that can be if you start off not very good, right? And having to somehow try to right the ship in the middle of that with no breaks, that can be difficult. And then unfortunately for some players, and you have to think about this too, because bowling's physical, if an injury comes up, you don't really have a way to get out of it without it hurting you too bad in points or something like that. So
here's a dynamic that I don't know how many people have thought of, but it's actually started to happen over the last few years. But if you're a young player that has just graduated from college and you want to try and make the next step, or if you're somebody who has advanced in your game and you want to give the PBA regionals a try, these guys on tour, they're going to be bowling every regional that they can.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that they have unless they have some of their job or business or something else going on, they have to bowl the regionals. So it's going to be even more difficult to get that, kind of break. I don't want to say break, but to get the confidence and the success on the regional tour when you're trying to make it to the national tour because all the best players in the world are still going to be bowling all the regionals.
Kris alluded to it really well there when you were talking about bowling for action. He named the 5 players that could afford to do so, right? And that's part of this equation. If you're not one of those 5 guys, you know, if bowling is the way you make your living, you need to find a bunch of ways to do it.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that's amateur events if they allow pros in, because some do.
Yeah.
You know, as many brackets as you can get into at nationals or whatever. Those are your only ways to be able to cover a little bit of that gap, because let's face it, we know this from our world, travel's not cheap. And that cuts greatly into your ability to make that money. And so I feel for those guys. It's already stressful enough probably to make a cut. But, you know, when that's your living and you got to think about the finances of it, think about how much more stressful that
mortgage, insurance, car payment, food, the list goes on.
I mean, that's why you see stuff like the house develop. You see these guys travel together, split costs together, whatever they can do to make it a little bit easier on the pocketbook, because all that money is an investment into them trying to make more on the back end, but it's tough living.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. Good stuff. And some great insight for collegiate players on what Kris said about building an arsenal. And it was hilarious that the first thing he said is, what? 5 balls? What? I think every person that we've had on, or every person that we talked to, there was like, you know.
Yeah. Well, a lot of, and I don't know what time period he bowled at Wichita exactly. I've talked to some other guys that may have bowled around that same time frame. And I want to say at that point, the rules were a little bit different. So I don't think they were subject to that. I think they still had a ball limit, but I don't think it was 5. But anyway, you know, all the people I've talked to, they all have the same reaction on it. But so are we at this point in the show where I get a chance to be mad about something? Or
what are you mad about, man?
You can. Okay, it starts with a little bit of show and tell. So right here we have the Track 100P right here, a plastic ball from 2013.
2013.
Posted on Facebook. And I know dangerous place here.
Okay.
But I want your take on it, Mark. I know you don't necessarily work in the pro shop industry, but you have friends that drill bowling balls and probably work in that space. So I want your take on this. A pro shop posted this on Facebook. They said, effective Monday, January 26th, the shop in question will no longer provide drilling services for new bowling equipment purchased outside of our bowling center or from internet or external pro shops. The shop in question is pleased to offer all league bowlers a 10% discount on new bowling equipment, as well as free drilling when the bowling ball is purchased directly through our shop. Due to the continued rise in online bowling ball purchases and increasing operational costs, the pro shop in question has made the difficult decision to update our pro shop policies.
You want my thought on that?
Yeah.
Where is their biggest margin when it comes to a bowling ball? It's not in the difference between wholesale and retail.
No.
It's the amount of money that they're getting from putting 2 or 3 holes in the bowling ball.
Yeah.
Am I wrong on that?
Mm-hmm. I mean, the biggest margin stuff in the pro shop is going to be your plug work and stuff like that. I mean, nobody's stranger to that. But
listen, so what? You're not making any margin on somebody that bought a ball off of, you know, bowlingballworld.com or whatever. They bring it in.
Our shops, I don't know.
You charge them $70.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. A lot of these shops, I don't know how it is in Oklahoma City now because it's been a few years since I've resided there, but these shops are charging a lot of money if you walk in with a bowling ball off the street, because that's how they got to make their money. I mean, especially if it's a pro shop operator, it's taking some time. You know, that time is money, right? So I don't know. I thought that was interesting that it was just we're not going to do it if you walk in with a bowling ball off the street anymore. You can buy it through us.
I don't think it's the right business plan. I think you want to generate. What are 2 things in the pro shop business that you have to have if you want to make a lot of money? And I know that may not go together, making a lot of money in a pro shop, but making a lot of money from a pro shop standpoint. What are 2 things that you have to do? Want me to tell you?
Yeah, hit me with it.
1, you got to have customer loyalty. You have to have a return customer base, treating your customers with kindness, knowledge, and integrity to where they come back. And guess what? They find another ball. They want to get they come back again.
Yeah.
Going to the place that's 5 or 10 miles away. You have built that brand loyalty toward your pro shop brand because they trust you, they believe in you, and you're giving them great service for what they're paying for. Okay. The other thing that you got to do is you have to develop customer relationships. And here's why. Because if they're bowling in league and you got a dude that you just punched out, I don't care if he bought it at the swap meet, you just punched out a bowling ball and the dude just shot 670 in league with it. Well, what is he going to do? He's going to tell his friends, hey man, I went into this pro shop and, John, he spent 15, 20 minutes with me. He told me how, why we laid it out this way. He resurfaced it. He put some, he hit it with 500 or whatever it is. And now look at it. What is that dude going to do that he's bowling league with?
You can go there. Yeah.
Two things.
I truly believe the modern bowling ball equipment space is more largely dependent on experience rather than price. I don't think there's large discrepancies in prices between a lot of places, but people are going to go hunt that experience you're talking about. If the guy takes an extra 10 minutes to measure pound, if he wants you to send him some video, do all the due diligence a good pro shop operator would, you're going to be like, man, that experience, that's what we're going back for right there.
Yeah.
But let me now I get on my
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No, you're right. I get upset about sometimes. And I'm going to raise a sounding concern for the modern day pro shop industry. I think you have a current problem of you got a bunch of old school guys running these shops that have been open for a long time, and you got a bunch of younger guys, including current college bowlers, but maybe recent college bowling graduates that are getting into the business, right? Because those guys are starting to retire. There's a little bit of turnover.
Right.
These two groups cannot mesh for some reason. And I'm saying specifically, you talk about the guy bowling league. It's not uncommon for somebody fresh into it that's maybe gone through the pro shop class, done some research, finds a new drilling technique, finds something a little innovative that isn't the clock method or what they used to use way back in the day. Mm-hmm. And your old time pro shop operator is bad mouthing the crap out of them about it, right? That doesn't do anybody any good. And that's what I'm getting upset about is the bowling industry already needs a bunch of people to come together, whether it's the proprietors, whether it's league bowlers, whether it's people that host events and parties. We need the industry to come together for strength. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that has happened. But, man, within the pro shop industry, it's two sides. It's the young, new way of thinking, innovative people that they want to get in the business. And sometimes there's mentors on the other side that are willing to bridge the gap. But a lot of it are these old school guys that are resistant of change. They badmouth every other shop. They badmouth the guys that are trying to get into it. Hey, Mark, you can say you were a newbie on a job at one point. You're going to make some mistakes early, right? Yep. We talked about that earlier. You got to learn from some of those failures.
Yeah.
Well, if old boy over here is just wearing you out about it, that's not going to help you, right? Instead of, hey, we don't do that. Doesn't work like that. Let me show you a method that's worked for 40 years. Maybe this is something you could learn. None of that happens. It's just two sides. So that's I
get it.
My weekly venting session. But I'm not. I mean, I think I'm on the right track there. I don't know how much.
No, I agree. Now, let me ask you this: if you've ever seen this, now as a pro shop owner, if I was a pro shop owner, right, this is one thing that I would try and strive toward. Every single league bowler in there should be buying their equipment from my pro shop. How do you accomplish that? Have you ever seen a pro shop owner walk down during league, introduce themselves, and say, hey, man, you're throwing it great. We got these New Brunswick balls coming out. I think it might be, good for your game. I'm having an open house, not a demo day. Just an open house where you can come by and talk to me, and we could talk a little bit about the stuff that's coming out. Why don't you come by and see me? You know what? If you come by, I'm going to give you a coupon, or I'm going to give you a card that if you buy stuff from me, I'm going to give you 20% off. I just want to sit here and watch you bowl a little bit, man. You're throwing it great. Yeah. What are you doing? You're networking. How many times have you seen a pro shop owner network with their customers or potential customers that are right there in the bowling?
Rarely. And you're all over it. But the reason that doesn't happen is the business side of this whole situation is broken. the way staff contracts work, the way because how it works now. Okay, if you know Joe Schmo who owns a pro shop and you hang out there all the time, okay, all of a sudden you can get a staff contract. Well, if you're doing your job and you're going out to these leagues, you should just be networking with people, not being let me show up with the newest equipment and be the guy in league that kind of ticks everybody off a little bit, kind of edgy. No, that's not what the relationship should be here. Not pointing anybody out in specific, but that happens a lot, right? So I think the business side needs to be looked at to help the other side work, if that makes sense.
You tell me how many businesses exist where your potential customers are within 100 yards all the time.
It's rare. You gotta.
But that exists with bowling. If you have a pro shop inside the bowling center,
but
you gotta. The
problem is, Mark, these guys need to let go of the egos, let go of the whatever they have going on, and go back to the core values of business: shaking hands, networking, developing relationships. It's all egotistical. It's all bashing everybody else. It's not productive. That's where it is.
It doesn't happen in Dino's shops, does it?
No, Dino does a great job.
That's kind of what I thought. But
I'll say too, because they're well known, the Warrens do a great job with Plano. I mean, they're lucky enough to obviously have lanes in their pro shop, and that is beneficial in a lot of ways. But think about the chance you have. You would just walk in there and start a conversation about Arsenal with somebody like Chris Warren. That value, but he's going to take that time to talk with you about that, right? And that's why they're so successful. They're providing what you're talking about on experience, but the problem is we need that industry-wide to help the sport, especially with the youth, and it's just not happening.
You know what your best customer is?
Who?
The one that comes back.
Yeah.
That's the attitude that you need to have as a pro shop, and even as a proprietor, right? Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be one and done.
Those two parties should work together.
All right, here. You want to know what made me mad? And it has nothing to do with bowling this week.
Okay.
I had no idea until I found out about this today. Did you know that there are college athletic programs out there that are being purchased by private equity groups?
No. This is a thing?
Yes. Utah is one of them. And recently, they just announced who the new athletic director is going to be at the University of Oklahoma. He's an attorney. All right. Yeah, he's been the assistant kind of compliance, whatever dude at Illinois University.
Yeah.
But he is an attorney.
Here's the ticket. Did he participate in collegiate athletics at some point?
I don't know. I haven't really looked. That's all the background that
a big point in that conversation.
I know. So I started digging with some of the friends that I had, not purposely digging, just in passing conversation. They're like, oh, well, yeah. I mean, the plan is they're really working hard to do the same thing that the University of Utah did. What's that? Oh, well, Utah, their athletic department, they sold to a private equity group. What? He goes, yeah. He goes, look it up on the internet. Now, I don't know if they're the only one that did it because I just found out about this today. But you know what private equity groups do? Dude, all they do is buy companies and sell them for more money than what they paid for.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. Yeah.
And I asked the guy that I spoke with, I'm like, why? And he goes, there's that much money in college athletics. So you know what my next response was? Well, can we get like a couple of drip down for college bowling? Can we get just a smidgen of the millions and millions of dollars that's being made in college sports? And he just laughed at me.
Yeah.
Private equity. Are you kidding me? We've gotten to the point where private equity.
I have a brief point that'll wrap this whole thing up, right? And it ties both of our soapboxes together. Is collegiate bowling teams that are on contracts with ball companies, right? What's the goal of a ball company when they sign a collegiate team to a contract? What are they trying to achieve, Mark? What's the goal?
Customer loyalty.
Yep.
That's the number one. That's
the end goal is to sell bowling balls, right? So a good collegiate program will equip their bowlers with the tools to help that happen, right? So a conversation we have within our own program at least once a semester, if not more, is talking about the brands we represent, how to represent them well, how to provide them value and opportunity, because that's a relationship we want our players to be able to continue. Mm-hmm. How many other programs out there in collegiate bowling are doing that? But it's important, isn't it?
It is.
And I don't, again, we should be teaching some of the finer details in life at this day and age, right? And that's one of them. But I just wonder too, because it's no secret that if you're on a contract, you get the equipment at a discounted rate. Those companies are investing money into you to represent them for a return on investment at some point. And how many of those bowling programs just take that contract, file it in the file and count it away, and they don't even think about representation?
Not mine.
Not mine either.
I know.
Because I teach them what's important. If they've helped you out, you have to help them back. That's part of the deal. It's a
1,000%. All right, check this out. In December of 2025, the University of Utah approved a landmark partnership with Otoro Capital, making the first instance of a private equity firm taking a minority stake in a major U.S. collegiate athletic department's commercial operations. The deal aims to generate roughly $500 million to fund future revenue sharing with athletes and the infrastructure. Are you kidding me?
I don't.
I mean, what? Did you know about this?
No. First I'm hearing of it. I don't really know what to think.
Holy cow, man. I was shocked.
I mean, it's like we got to a point in collegiate athletics where it was like the NIL stuff started. We all saw what was going to happen. Yeah. We should expect to kick off the edge of the cliff so quickly. It's just gone sideways.
Here's more of this. It says, Otro Capital is investing in this entity, providing immediate upfront capital. The total financial impact, including contributions, is expected to exceed $500 million.
You got to be able to pay your players.
It says the influx of capital addresses the rising cost in collegiate sports, particularly in the need for revenue sharing with athletes following the House versus the NCAA.
Yep.
The NCAA has messed up.
Well, and this is the same reason that colleges are cutting smaller programs. Wow. If that money can be allocated to something they need to spend the money on, they're going to do it. And it's not their fault. They've been put in that box.
All right,
but
here's a key factor.
You said Utah, right? This is the University of Utah. Well, they just hired a new football coach. They got to be able to pay for that somehow.
It says this move is viewed as a blueprint for other athletic departments facing financial pressures to monetize, upgrade facilities, and stay competitive.
Oh boy, this is a dangerous slope that we've just encountered.
The University of Oklahoma Athletic Department is going to be listed on the NASDAQ.
Well, yeah, they're all going to be privately held at some point, or public, depends on who buys it, I guess.
What is going on? Man, I am so glad I am on the downhill roller coaster of retirement.
So what you're saying here is collegiate athletics programs are going to become franchises, essentially.
When did GPA go away? You never hear any programs talk about GPA.
No.
Graduation rate. Oh, I think it's cool that, like, on the jerseys, have you seen that? It says SEC graduate.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be impressed by that? All right, wait a minute. I only see one player with that. And if he's a graduate, what is he doing still playing?
My biggest gripe is we've lost the identity of school loyalty in collegiate athletics.
Oh, that's just
you can go down that rabbit hole with the transfer portal and all that. That's fine. I mean, I truly believe that you have to have something like that for athletes to find a better opportunity at least once. If it's not the right situation. I'm not saying this 4 schools in 4 years thing is good, because it's not. But the only reason that is as prevalent as it is goes back to the money. of the revenue changing hands.
Yeah.
If you're playing for the university basketball for the University of Oklahoma on $2 million and Wake Forest says, hey, we'll pay you $5 million, you're going to go get that $5 million. Because what are the chances Mark Jeffries makes the league, right? So you're going to try to make your money where you can. So you're just trying to take care of yourself, but you're faulted by the system. The system is broken.
It's not college sports anymore, man. It's just not.
No, I mean, and that's why I truly love what we do and what I do in the club sports world, because modern day collegiate athletics is now what you find in your club sports programs. It's about the school. It's about the passion for the sport. It's about the loyalty.
Yeah.
It's about education.
Yeah.
It's not about all that other stuff.
I'm with you, man. All right. So big weekend coming up here next weekend, not this weekend. We've got
Super Bowl weekend next weekend. Who you got? Who's winning?
Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Man, Seattle.
See, I got to go with the right mascot. I got to go with the Patriots.
If it was the old school Patriot, one of the greatest football helmets in the history of the NFL, I'd go down that route. The dude,
I thought it was spot on. I think they need to make both teams wear their throwback uniforms. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be cool. I didn't even realize that the Seahawks have been in the league 50 years.
I didn't know that either.
It's a long time.
We have a big tournament the same weekend as the Super Bowl.
That's what I was going to bring that up. The SWIBC Championship, and we are hosting that event. Excited. Biggest challenge of the weekend, the plan that I put together on where 382 bowling bags can go. And I've got it figured out, man.
Good. We're ready.
Yeah, with the
we need this ice out here to melt so we can practice, so we can be ready. That's the biggest hurdle right in front of us. But championships is one of my favorite tournaments every year. And back when I bowled, we used to have it at Fire Lake. I'm sure you remember that.
Yeah.
And what made that special is we didn't bowl anything else at Fire Lake, so it was kind of that one trip out there. It's a super cool center. I love bowling in there.
Yeah.
So it just felt big. But what I like about what you've done with it is you're making it feel big again, right? We've not bowled in this center this year at all. Very few teams have ever bowled in this center.
Yeah.
You're providing an opportunity for the sweeper the night before. You're giving equipment storage. You've hooked us up with hotels. You're making it feel like an event, and that's what a conference championship should be. Now, I can go down the rabbit hole like I tried last week on conference championship for not a defined conference. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a good event. It sounds like we have 11 or 12 teams already committed to coming on the guys' side, so that's pretty good. And some pretty good teams will be there too. So I'm looking forward to it. And it's got match play, so that's always exciting too.
Yeah. At the championship too, we have the coaches meeting, and that is when we bring up items that we want to vote on.
Yeah.
And I think what you and I probably
voting with this group is going to be a struggle, so you better have a good proposal.
I think that we should go ahead and send our suggestions to our conference coordinator and say, hey, look, you might want to send these out to everybody because we're going to be bringing this up. Because I have like 4 things that I want to bring up. What do you
I'm with you because it was hard enough to get them to understand what a practice pair meant. So I'm for this. Yeah.
So we'll put our heads together and then we'll send something in together with 6 or 7 points on it saying, hey, we want to vote on this.
Yeah.
Go from there. All right. We'll talk about that.
Yep.
All right, man. Anything else? 500 million. I still can't believe that.
I don't think anything else has got me fired up. I like having this part at the end of the show where I can just tell you what's got me fired up about bowling or collegiate athletics this week, but I feel like I got that out. The only other thing I can think of is, and anybody that's in the southern part of the United States that's had to go through this winter storm that bowls can level with me here. You don't realize how much bowling equipment you have until it all has to come inside. Yeah. Had to move 50 bowling balls in the house ahead of this cold spell. So they're all living comfortably now in the living room. But
well,
hopefully a week later we'll be able to bring it back out.
Why we have a locker room.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a good thing. Yep. Locker room's a good thing. All right, everybody. Hopefully you have enjoyed this extended show, but it was cool to get Kris Prather on and get his take on so many things in the bowling world. And we appreciate him taking time out. Tour cranks up here, 3 weeks, 10 straight weeks, full TV. Can't wait for that. That's always fun to watch. And then, as always, this time of the year, we are preparing for sectionals, of which we will end up in Fort Worth, most likely.
Got to find the urethane solution.
Oh, we have that. We have found the magic pill, okay? We have the magic pill. And even
That's
Dino
right.
agreed with the magic pill.
Yep.
So
It's our secret.
it's our secret. We're not telling anybody. All right. So everybody be safe. We will be back same time next Tuesday. We'll work on another guest. I don't know if we can get one better than Kris. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. All right, Jonathan, we'll talk soon. That's it. We're out of here.